Hey, Amina Ali, Plain Jane Wisdom here in Piedmont Park, part 2, Judgment, Discernment. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk deeply about this. We're going to use a real-time example. The first video that we just did on Judgment and Discernment, we explained the terms as always, and we said that judgment is based on an opinion dealing with experience. So we're going to say something based on what we've already experienced in this world. May not have any truth to it other than what we have relocated, but that judgment placed on someone else is where the negativity sets in. We talked about having the angel and the devil. The discernment is the angel, the devil is the judgment. And we were going to go into discernment as the thing that we are given as a download, maybe as a spiritual piece, or maybe through a dream, or maybe an interpretation that is of the subconscious, and it is given to you to ordain in some semblance of a gift. Now, it's not something that you're to judge the person for, or even if it's relocated that it may be something negative in your mind, it may be something positive to them. Here's the real-time example. Had an elder tell a sister in our sister circle that she was not going to be with her husband much longer. Yeah, so the sister kind of said, I'll be damned. And she kind of said, no, that's my husband. I'm going to be with him. And ain't nothing going to take him away from me. 3 months later, he passed away. So what the elder was saying was that, get ready. She was trying to introduce her into a new season that the sister was going into. Now, that discernment came to her spiritually. However it came to her, it was given to the sister as a warning. And there's always a warning before a tragedy. And what it is that the sister didn't do is she didn't heed to the warning. Now, that discernment was that she wasn't going to be with her husband long. And that was given to the elder, and however she downloaded it, she uploaded it to the sister's life, and the sister didn't take heed to it. So now she's without a husband, and went back to the elder and was kind of mad at her. I mean, she actually was angry with her, and she said some pretty frank things to the elder that I think was shied on a little disrespect for the person and to the situation. The elder, in her infinite wisdom, realized that she was just emoting and that she was going through her bereavement and her grief and her loss stages, and she just allowed her to vent. And afterwards, the elder and the sister are now almost thick as thieves. She calls her mom, and she sees her as an elder, as a wisdom mother, because she gave her that. And that discernment was a peaceful thing that ended up being the step into the next realm of that sister's life. Now, that discernment was pretty easy, pretty able to be seen. But when we get into the discernment, when we are ego-based, that's when the discernment becomes judgment. And a little flip, it's almost like a light switch goes off, and it goes from discernment to judgment in 2.2 seconds. And that's when you add that ego in there as though it is your mouth speaking it. Discernment is more, as we mentioned, is more of on a spiritual level, something that is ordained or given or downloaded to you. Whereas judgment is more linear. It's more projected based on experience and opinion and how you have excised something in your life. So when you judge someone or prejudge someone, you are giving them an out to your mindset. And what did I mean by that? Your judgment, your prejudgment or prejudice is yours. It is yours. You have to own it. And when you own it, what you're doing is you are releasing that wisdom into the universe so it can be dissipated. When you judge someone, you're saying, based on my experience and my opinion, you are A, B, C, or D. Based on my experience, this is C, D, E, and F. But does that connotate a discernment? Does that bridge the gap from your opinion to a truth? Because that's what discernment is. Discernment is a truth. Judgment is an opinion. Now, when you give someone something, you're giving it to them because you know that it was either ordained or you were called to, or someone allotted you that opportunity to. But when you add you into that discernment, that's when it goes into judgment. How easy is that to do? Well, here's an example. When there was a sister circle that was being formed. One of the sisters in the circle said that she would like to have positive and empowered sisters get together and empower each other. And then we go out into the universe and we start empowering others, similar to the religious discipleship. We're going to now take it a step further, and we're going to use it to empower the person so that they can be better in their religion or their tradition or their culture or their custom. And we said, wow, that's awesome, because no matter where you are and who you are, no matter what you ordain yourself, no matter what you title yourself, you still got to be a good person. So the discernment was that we were going to offer a sisters group that was going to empower each other. We were going to plug into each other, and then we were going to take that electricity and we were going to be static throughout the world. That was awesome. And that discernment became the forefront of everybody's mind that was in that group, that initial 10 group. Then we had 2 of them. Of course, there's always one that kind of rattles the chains a little. There's 2 of them that kind of came and said, well, as a pastor, I'm going to do such and such and such. And another one came, well, as a minister, I'm going to do such and such and such. And of course, on the surface, that was kind of okay. It was like, all right, well, if you've had the experience and you've had the tenure in that, maybe that's the thing that we need to give to you to offer as that wisdom. Well, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And some things you should be glad that you didn't get. And this was a staying power with these sisters. These 2 sisters went and took their ministry, went and took their pastoral care, and they judged people. The pastor went and told people that because she's a pastor, that she has the right to affinitively ordain and attain the wisdom to give a discernment. The minister took that a step forward and said, well, if it comes out of her mouth, it must be of God. Not even realizing why they even felt that. I realized it was more ego than there was effort. And I had to ask the sisters to see what it is that they're doing, to the point where one time that they were in counsel with someone, I actually asked the person to record the conversation, and record it in such a way that they didn't know that they were being recorded, so that it would be a genuine thing. So they audio recorded it. Now, I asked her to do that so that the minister and the pastor would hear how they sounded, hear how demonstrative their judgments were, and how it was nowhere near a discernment. How God couldn't be in that, because it was so harsh and so harmful and so opinionated that it was as blatant as this video is today. And I was just so disheartened, because these were 2 sisters that were so powerful when they came into it. But when we realized as a whole, as a unit, that they were all more on the judgment side than the discernment side, the empowerment left just that quick. So we had to see what it was that they were doing and what it was that they were not giving, which is the empowerment that we sought in this group. So the discernment on the rest of us, the rest of the 8, was that we may need to ask them to sit down. We may need to ask them to do something in another way for the group that maybe targets their talents and gifts that aren't as vocal or as out front, that maybe they can do more of a backlog, or maybe a follow-up, that maybe once the person is empowered into where they are and they know where they are, that maybe the minister and the pastor can now come in and say, okay, let's keep going, let's keep doing it, let's keep, showing them different ways, so there won't be a leadway into that ego. So when we have the discernment versus judgment, we have to take out the piece that allows us to judge based on experience and based on opinion. It almost has to turn us into an empath so that we can discern. An empath is someone that is so sensitive to the spiritual realm that they only speak through that. And to be truly empathic is to have a conversation that is so spiritual, that is so grounded in truth from the Almighty, that it's not even you speaking. It is not even, and people can tell that. You ever get in a conversation with somebody where you're saying, that word was for me? And you're talking to them and you know that they're not really speaking, but you're hearing what it is that the message was for you? That is empathic speaking. And that is when people that are really rooted in that true discernment gets a chance to be the vessel for the Almighty to speak a word. Now, I hope that helped you I hope that allowed you to see the difference between judgment and discernment. And I hope that gave you a greater understanding as to where the wisdom lies into where you are. If you are based in a judgment, I pray that you come forward and get out of that so that the discernment can be your mother tongue. And I pray that the downloading that you get from the spiritual realms that you implore are the ones that are going to speak through you. That you're just a vessel. You're just literally sitting there waiting for things to be downloaded so you can upload into someone else's life. And I pray that your discernment is the most beautiful thing that is applauded in your life and in your mission here to help empower others. Amina Ali with Plain Jane Wisdom here in Piedmont Park. Thank you so very much. We'll see you again.